Welcome to Ad Spend Secrets. My name's Luke Smith. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Klaviyo email marketing and how you can make more money by sending emails to less people. Now, this is going to be based on a real client migration that we did and we worked on, helping them move from Shopify email over to Klaviyo email. The reason they wanted to move is because it was a little bit clunky on Shopify. It's the native option to send email flows and campaigns through Shopify where all of their products are obviously housed, so it's simple to get started that way. But it just wasn't providing the functionality, the design aspects and versatility that they were looking for, and they weren't getting the open rates that they probably needed to really take their business to the next level and start to capitalize on all the traffic that we were sending to their store through paid ads across Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So we helped them vet their current list and look at how many subscribers they actually had, which was actually close to 45 to 50,000 people, and look at who were actually active within that list. Because if you've got a list of, say, 50,000 people, there may only be, 40,000, 30,000, 20,000 that are actively opening, clicking emails. And so you want to weed out the unengaged users before you migrate to a system like Klaviyo. So the goal was to take the engaged users and pop them into Klaviyo. And one reason for that is because if we took all 50,000 and moved them over to Klaviyo, they'd be on a massive payment plan per month just because of the list size. So Klaviyo, you pay for active profiles. So we really want to figure out who in Shopify were those active profiles and move only those people over. What we did was we exported the entire list. We segmented them out by engagement and activity, who was opening, who was clicking over the last, say, 90 days, 120 days. And again, this is going to be quite specific to your own business. This particular business serves newborn babies. And so what we find is that once it hits the 3-month mark, customers really start to lapse. Their engagement on any emails tapers right off. They stop opening and they stop clicking, and most of all, they stop buying as those kids age out of the 0 to 3 month age bracket where their sort of products are created and made to serve. So we want to weed those people out. They've got a list of people that may have joined up on the email list or may have purchased as long as 18 months, 2 years, 3 years ago. So what we did was we took Shopify's segmentation options to look through their contact lists and group people together, exporting CSV files and moving those over to Klaviyo, labeling them and creating lists that way. We then were able to suppress the unengaged people from Klaviyo. So we had all of the leads in Klaviyo, but we marked all of the unengaged contacts and suppressed those people. So then we're only paying for the non-suppressed users on Klaviyo, which they call active profiles. We ended up with a list of around 25,000 people out of that 50,000 that were somewhat engaged, and we were going to move over to Klaviyo and start actively warming up and emailing to these people. And that sat at around $550 per month. What we realized and what we noticed over time was that even within those 25,000 people, they weren't all fully engaged. So we were still getting low open rates of 20% in a lot of cases. There was a few emails that went out that were closer to 15%. And these are campaigns, mind you. These are one-off emails as opposed to flows that, for example, a welcome flow where somebody opts in for a 10% discount and they get the email straight away, and then 1-2 days later and 3 days later and so on. What we're talking about here is one-off email blasts and sending those out to these users to get them to open, click, and buy. And so the open rates were a little bit low, and we realized that within this 24,000, there was still a pocket. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule where 20% are giving 80% of the output, so that there's smaller pockets within this 25,000 people that were producing all of the opens, all of the clicks, and all of the purchases. And so we would send an email out to, say, 25,000 people. We would get a lowish open rate. We would get 3,800, maybe 4,000 people open. And so what we did was we then dug in further because we thought, why are we paying Klaviyo $550 a month when we could potentially suppress more users, reduce the active profile count down to what we think may be only the engaged users, only those that are opening and clicking and buying. And by doing so, we're then targeting the people most likely to engage, and we're paying less per month. We're saving on our expenses. And what we found to happen was exactly what we expected to happen, which was open rates went up. We were sending to a list of fewer and fewer people, started at 15,000, and we reduced it to actually 9,000 people. And of those 9,000 people, we're now seeing open rates of 50 to 60% over the last 30 days. It's actually come up from the original 20% or so, closer to 50, 55. Now it's 59. We're creeping up on that 60% open rate. So of those 9,000, 9,500 or so that are in that active profile list, a large majority of them are engaged. They're opening and the click rate's gone up. And what we've noticed is the actual purchase rate has gone up. The actual sales coming from these emails have gone up too. And because it's becoming healthier and healthier over time, we're getting higher open rates, better click rates, better revenue per recipient rates, essentially making more money through each email. We are sending more emails and we're getting all of these benefits from these deliverability metrics and these positive signals that are going back to Klaviyo, and then Klaviyo's, feeling better about delivering our emails, I suppose, into Yahoo and Google's inboxes. And so it's a real cycle that snowballs and builds over time in terms of results. And we've now paying, I think, half of what we originally were on a Klaviyo monthly fee. So we've halved the subscription cost. We've increased the open rate, the click-through rate, the purchase rate. And the actual numbers that are opening the emails, so even though now we're sending to 9,000 people or so, we're getting 4,700 open individual users. And when we were originally sending to about 25,000 people, it was very interesting to see we're still only getting 3,700 to 4,500 open. So we've seen no difference in the actual number of people opening emails. The open rate has gone through the roof, increased significantly. We've been able to drop the monthly subscription fees. And this is all because of heavy list cleaning and reducing the number of active profiles and having an ongoing process to suppress users. And that leans into what they call list cleaning. And so you can create an ongoing segment in your Klaviyo account. And I've got one open here. I'll actually read the definitions through for this because this is what we have building up as a segment in Klaviyo for one of our clients. And so it's an ongoing suppression segment that builds up users, and over time, maybe once a month or once a quarter, you can just suppress the users within this list, and it will reduce your number of active profiles, which can keep you below, certain thresholds for Klaviyo billing, for example, but to make sure it weeds out anyone that's not engaged anyway, unlikely to buy. So there's many benefits to doing this. You can always bring them back. You can unsuppress them if you want after a period of time, but when you think about it, there's really no reason to start sending and continue sending emails to people that aren't opening and aren't clicking. So the definition here is people that have opened 0 times over the last 90 days and not clicked any emails in the last 90 days. They've got permissions to receive email marketing, so at some point they've opted in to email marketing. They've also received at least 5 emails in the last 180 days. So if they've received 5 emails and not purchased, as well as another one, not clicked, not opened, not engaged at all, pretty safe to say if they receive a 6th or 7th email, they're probably not going to, act on that. So we can suppress them. We can save ourselves the trouble of hammering these people and hassling these people, and then we can suppress them, which improves our list health and our overall account health over time. And you'll probably see your open rates increase as you do so. And you just might be able to reduce your Klaviyo billing per month when you do this on a monthly or quarterly basis. If you need any help looking at the cleanliness of your list and looking at your plan and whether or not you could save on your monthly Klaviyo expenses, just reach out at simplyconverting.com. You'll see a form there. You can fill it in. Happy to have a chat and talk through what it might look like to get this list cleaned up for you. So there's been many benefits to doing this for the client, and Klaviyo recommends you do this as well. List cleaning is something pushed by Klaviyo. When we were onboarding with this particular client, because they started at around $500 per month as a plan, we were given what's called a growth partner by Klaviyo. And so we worked closely with an individual who was helping us migrate from Shopify to Klaviyo. And they provided us with actually a very handy onboarding checklist. It's a bit of a Klaviyo Bible. And again, if you want a copy of that, I'm happy to share it with you. It's a Klaviyo resource. You can find it as a Google Sheet. But if you want the link, just reach out at simplyconverting.com, or you can touch base at hello@simplyconverting.com as well, or just comment here on YouTube and I'll be happy to contact you and send it over. But what Klaviyo recommends in this sheet is a number of steps, and they've got the articles associated with each of these steps in this resource. But they've got initial setup, they've got continuing strategy, so what to do ongoing with your email. They've got how to integrate Klaviyo SMS. They've also got a campaign warming strategy, which is what we use when we migrated from Shopify to Klaviyo, because if we sent 50,000 1,000 people who we'd taken from Shopify, for example, into Klaviyo, and it's a brand new Klaviyo account, if we send all 50,000 people an email straight away, it's going to send terrible signals in terms of email deliverability, and we'll probably get a slap on the wrist and probably have to really work ourselves out of that hole. So you got to warm up your account. If it's a brand new account, you want to get that sender health by looking at only engage people early on, setting to people that have opened, clicked, purchased historically, and start to work your way up. So you'd send to 2,000 people or 3,000 people or 4,000 people and so on until you're getting a decent list size and a lot of open rates and clicks and whatnot. They've got a warming strategy here. They've also got what's really helpful is a deliverability benchmark. So when we're talking about open rates and click rates and purchase rates, what is good and what is bad? Well, Klaviyo actually has a column for what they consider to be great. You know, the top-notch open rates, click rates, bounce rates. What they've got for open rate is 25% or more, and they've got 2.5% or more as a click rate. They've got a bounce rate of less than 0.4%, an unsubscribe rate of less than 0.2%, and a spam rate of less than 0.05%. So if you can hit each of these, Klaviyo will consider your account great. On the other hand, they also have proficient, room for improvement, and critical. So it's all listed here in this tab. Critical, you obviously want to work your way out of that pretty quick, but the open rate for reference for critical here is less than 10%. So that's pretty low. You have to be sending to really unengaged people or sending to a significantly large list, again, with unengaged people to see an open rate that low, or potentially your subject lines are just completely off. But that's something you'd want to look into. So hope that was helpful. That's a bit of a top line as to what we saw when we moved from Shopify to Klaviyo. Before we did so for this client, I actually asked another client who'd recently gone through that process. And what he said, I've actually got it up here, and I will share the exact wording with you. Because I said, we've got a client that's looking to do the same as you, move over to Klaviyo from Shopify. This particular client that I asked and queried, who'd just been through it, they were at about 60K a month in revenue, and now they're doing around 180K a month, typically in revenue. And a big part of that shift has been their consistency in email marketing, which they really took on after they moved to Klaviyo and became really consistent with weekly emails. But they did say it is a little bit more expensive than Shopify. Obviously, Shopify is the cheaper option. But the design control was much better than any other apps they've used, better than MailChimp and Shopify's native ones. They did say the flows weren't too much better than Shopify's native connection, but the segmentation was much better. And they've just signed up for the SMS at this time as well to test out SMS through Klaviyo. Send timing was better on Klaviyo. Shopify's apparently was a bit all over the shop. However, it could be fixed now, but that is something that I've noticed too, is Klaviyo is very, very design friendly. If you've used any kind of page builder, very good with send times and the flow to create an email, drag in a template, change subject lines, add personalization. It's all fairly intuitive. And I'm not affiliated with Klaviyo in any way. We just use it with all of our clients really on Shopify. And if a client's wondering what kind of email tool to use, I usually do push them towards Klaviyo just because it is so robust and easy to use, as I've mentioned. So if you do want any help getting set up on Klaviyo, if you need someone to help do it for you, whether it be plan emails, design emails, send emails, look at your list health, suppress users, and maybe even reduce your monthly payment to Klaviyo, just reach out, as I said, simplyconverting.com, and we can take a look for you and do a quick audit.